From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Studio One. I'm Morgan Goulding.
And I'm Kari Strandberg.
Today on the show, 3D printers help people turn their ideas on paper into something more tangible. We'll talk to a student who created a business to do just that.
Also, the unmanned aircraft system industry is skyrocketing. Drones have new age technology, but government guidelines have some users upset. We talked with a business whose goal is to overcome these confusing regulations. But first, one lottery ticket is all it takes to change a life, especially when that ticket contains a 9-figure prize. The winning Powerball ticket of more than $310 million was purchased from a gas station in Three Rivers, Michigan. The lucky winner is expected to take a lump sum of about $107 million. Don't forget to check and see if you won a lesser prize, as an estimated $2 billion goes unclaimed each year. A new life-saving policy has kicked in at IKEA stores all across the United States. The Swedish company is no longer selling window blinds with cords. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says that these cords have a risk of strangulation, with an average of one child dying every month. IKEA plans to go global with this policy by January of 2016. Those familiar with asthma understand that a dirty environment can cause coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath. What some may not know is that growing up on a farm can prevent asthma from developing. European researchers say the reason is settled within the farm's dirt. When kids breathe in the farm air, they're taking in decaying bacteria called endotoxins. This matter is found in cow manure and dampens the body's immune response to allergens. Over time, exposure lowers the risk of asthma. Even the location of the farm could affect a child's likelihood of developing the disease.
The other factor that you would have with it closer to a city is you're going to have exposure to lots of other inflammatory components, like air pollution or other things in the environment that might stimulate the immune system.
Dr. Johnson says dairy farms may provide an even greater exposure to endotoxins. This is because of the hands-on nature of the milking process.
Bats may give some the jitters around Halloween time, but they're saving farmers from the real creepy crawlers. Bats feed on the same insects that could ruin a crop in a matter of days. Researchers at the National Academy of Sciences recently found that by eating these bugs, bats actually save the world's corn growers close to $1 billion every year. Because they're on the endangered species list, activists are fighting to save the hungry mammals. That's good news for not only farmers, but anyone who loves corn on the cob.
Innovators are always on the lookout for the next big thing. We found that North Dakota is opening its arms to an industry that could provide a home to these opportunity seekers.
This flying, buzzing, remote-controlled machine goes by many names: UAV, drone, or UAS, all of which mean the same, a remote-controlled opportunity for many.
And they want to keep landing tenants and bringing in UAS companies to do business in North Dakota so we can grow our economy.
State lawmakers are working to build a future for UAS, otherwise known as Unmanned Aerial Systems. However, regulations can sometimes get in the way. UAS has made a recent emergence in the police force.
The overarching requirement is that we get a search warrant when we're utilizing drones or small unmanned aircraft systems for surveillances.
Police and new businesses alike are facing similar challenges.
Being patient, filing the proper paperwork with the FAA is, a huge roadblock that we've had to come across.
Lawmakers are working to maintain a healthy balance of regulation and opportunity.
If you restrict something too much, you're going to kill innovation and education and business in this industry.
Experts in unmanned aerial systems say the future of drones in North Dakota is unlimited. I'm Alex Amon reporting for Studio One.
North Dakota recently opened the world's first UAS business and aviation park. Commercial, private, and military pilots can now train in FAA-approved airspace. And that's the news for now.
Thanks, Kari. Let's go now to Emily Pogatshnik for the weather news. Emily?
Flooding in Albany, New York. Heavy rains triggered a flash flood warning in Albany Wednesday morning. High waters closed roads, forced evacuations, and triggered hundreds of power outages. And the National Weather Service estimates about 3 to 5 inches of rain came down in some parts, and a state of emergency has been declared in the area. Now we go north to Anchorage, Alaska, where they got their first non-mountainous snowfall of the season. About an inch of snow fell Tuesday night, and according to the National Weather Service, it's really not going to stick around too much because they have been pretty warm like most of the country. And that warming for the country is actually due to what's called an El Nino. We take a look at conditions along the equator in the Pacific Ocean, where you have a warm water mass off the coast of Asia, this cold water mass off the coast of South America, and these trade winds that move from east to west, with kind of balancing the two out. As we get into El Nino events, though, these trade winds, they will weaken a little bit, giving a nice opportunity for this warm water mass to make its way over to South America. And now during particularly strong El Nino events, this warm water mass can actually overcome the cool water in the Pacific Ocean. And what does that mean for the United States? Well, we could see a warmer than average winter this year because the jet stream that usually comes down bringing us that cold air won't really make it to the central part of the United States like it usually does. And since we are warmer than average, a lot of people are getting in those last picnics, but you could have some unwanted guests.
Fall is a time for leaves to change, pumpkins to be carved, and the last picnics with friends. But not everyone at the table is quite so friendly.
Look, this is great. I mean, there's literally hundreds of them.
Hundreds of wasps. You may notice that there are more wasps in the fall than any other time of year.
Not only are there more of them, but they become more aggressive because there's less food, and so they're hunting for food along our garbage and in your soda, and everywhere they can find anything they can.
During a picnic, most people try to avoid these buzzing biters, but that's not the case with Matthew Eckhoff. He's a self-proclaimed wasp enthusiast.
I know they can sting me, I understand that threat, but they're just more fascinating to me than they are terrifying, I guess.
However, if you aren't like Matthew and don't want to risk the chance of being stung, there are ways to get rid of these wasps.
You can make traps with sugar, water, and a plastic soda bottle. They'll go into the sugar water and they'll drown.
You can also cover your food and drinks. While wasps seem like a nuisance, they do have a role in our environment.
So if you lose your wasp population, you tend to have an outbreak of maybe another kind of insect that we find even less desirable.
Although wasps can be a pain, they do have a purpose. I'm Kayla Lucky, reporting for Studio One.
And if you do find that you've been stung by a wasp, you can wash the area with soap and water, put some ice on it, and take an antihistamine. And with all this talk of higher than average temperatures due to El Nino, that brings us to our weather question of the week. What year holds the record for the strongest El Nino event? Is it 1997, 1990, 1982, or 1965? And now, Morgan, this year we could actually rival the record for the El Nino.
All right, well, thanks, Emily. Now let's go to Kari for the sports story of the day. Kari?
Thank you, Morgan. Over the years, many new fitness trends have made their way into the mainstream. This steamy new workout bundles the benefits of multiple exercises into one. Crystal Kavit knows how to build a crowd. She also knows some people aren't 100% about exercising in a 99-degree dark room.
Just show up. Walking through the door is the hardest part. Getting to your mat is always the hardest part.
Hot yoga has had a positive impact on Crystal's life. Not only does she enjoy it, but it's helped her stay out of the doctor's office.
I didn't need surgery, so they said I would need a new hip by the time I was 30. I'm now over that hill. No new hip, I feel great.
Yoga has many benefits that can help people throughout their lives. Health professionals are starting to see how much it can really do for you.
Have more increased balance and flexibility. You're also going to have more muscle tone and strength.
With any hard workout, you also need to make sure that your body can handle the strain. Hot yoga needs extra precautions.
You're going to elevate your body temperature within this environment, and so heat exhaustion and heat stroke are some major risk factors.
Stephanie says that heat exhaustion is the lesser of the two evils, and that there are ways to tell if your body is getting into that zone.
That's when you stop sweating completely. It starts to affect your internal thermal regulation, and that's when it can have bad effects on your organs on the inside. It starts cooking from the inside.
As long as your body can handle the heat, Hot yoga can provide all of the cardio, strength, and flexibility training you need.
Instead of running and then lifting weights, you get it all in one session.
Even through all of the sweat and the strained faces, people keep coming back to feel the burn in Crystal's studio. Crystal says many athletes have taken a liking to hot yoga because the heat helps them get a deep stretch even when they're sore. And that's a sports story for today's show. Morgan, I was on that shoot. It was so hot in there, I wasn't even working out and I was dripping in sweat.
Yeah, I saw a lot of smiles, but a lot of sweat too.
Definitely.
Thanks, Kari. People use 3D printers to create plastic objects for prototyping, or simply just for fun. Next, we'll talk to a man who's using his printer for both.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
For me to go to college, it was a big step knowing that I'm pursuing a better future for myself. When you know that you have a small system there that you can still find comfort in, it really makes a difference. The support here and everything that they offer for us, you know, the tutors, the free meals, the family, the friends, basically just somewhere for you to relax and be comfortable and find that home feeling again.
Yeah, okay, science meets imagination. Life changed by innovation. They're the future of our nation. Engineers the occupation. UND College of Engineering and Mines. Invest in your mind to stay with the times. Formulas, machines, and all that's in between. They teach it all from wall to wall to help you succeed. Come on, it could be electrical, chemical, or civil. Our world-class staff will help you make it all official. Mechanical, petroleum, geology align at the
UND's College of Engineering and Mines.
Okay, become a leader, prove yourself among all your peers. Changing the world begins right here. You're not alone, but in the plan, we'll take your hand and help you stand with mentorship and advising. We'll do all we can. Okay, so if you want to join the party, simply calculate. The math adds up, so never think to hesitate. Education, leadership, and dreams combined at the UND College of Engineering and Mines.
Closed captioning for Studio One is supported in part by the Listen Center, enriching the lives of people who have intellectual disabilities with choices in community recreation.
"3D printers have been used to make architectural models, prosthetics, and even film props. College student and CEO of 3C Innovators, Jonathan Poole, is using his ideas to bring others to life. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Not a problem. Thanks for letting me come on.
So first off, what is 3C Innovators?
So 3C Innovators is a culmination of a couple ideas that we wanted to bring back in education. It's not just building a product and design for what you want to create, so bringing your idea into fruition in your hands. But we also want to change education into project-based. So we want to go from, like Iowa Test of Basic Skills, for my example, is bringing that back to projects and getting students involved together, co-communicating and building networks, stuff like that.
So you're an undergrad student. What motivated you to get started?
Actually, in the beginning, it was trying to develop a product, and I struggled for quite a while, put a little bit of more money than I should have into it, and I wanted to solve that issue for students actually first. So it's mainly to help students go from idea into what they can create.
So why 3D printing though?
3D printing is actually quite new. I've followed it for about 10 years now, but in terms of what you can do with it, it's quite expansive. There's a couple materials. There's not just plastic that everybody always sees. There's wood, metal, rubber, even nylon. Even actually designers are putting that into their show models, so it was one of the best choices ever.
So what type of capabilities do you have with your 3D printer?
Actually, with ours, we can do plastic, wood, rubber, metal, nylon. There's actually a couple different ones that they're trying to reintroduce, so it's it's just what we have at the moment, but there's tons of upgradability. We can even print in 2 materials at once, so the options are always changing.
So are 3D printers hard to work? Like, can anyone use one?
They're pretty hands-on. They're not too bad actually in the beginning. It's just getting used to the intro software with how it operates in terms of the computer, but other than that, they're pretty simple.
So you have brought some prototypes with you today. Do you want to explain what they are?
Yep, so actually what we'll do is grab this guy. This is one of my favorites that I actually designed for the School of Entrepreneurship. We're doing a weekly system later on. And this is an example of the pin that we're making for the school. And we wanted to blow it up and bring it out into proportion so they can see exactly what it is. And then off of that is where one of my favorite examples is this little elephant. So in terms of this, everything moves and how it all works, but actually it was printed, assembled. It was printed like that.
So what is the cost and time to make something small like this?
It's actually pretty affordable. The way that it works is usually a lot of manufacturers charge by either weight or by gram, or some even do by time. So we go by gram, and it works much more affordably that way.
So I know you go to classrooms and you help out students bring their ideas to life. What do you hope to achieve in the classroom?
What we want to bring is back what we did when we were young, or at least when I was younger in like middle school. We went outside, we did projects, we felt hands-on with project. It wasn't about all this data just looking through. It was like, oh, we have to figure out how to better teach a student. We should just go physically to the student and show them exactly what they're doing.
So how do you believe this benefits students?
When you give a student a really hard task and you ask them, well, you have to solve this, we're only going to give you a couple guidelines and a couple hints. So if you ask them to look deeper into what they want to do, especially a product that's really broad, and go, we want you to create something off of that. We want you to develop your knowledge off of what you know.
And so what do you see as the future of 3D printing in general?
3D printing is actually going to turn into mass production eventually. That's what it wants to get into. Like eventually we want to get into a higher end printer that we would like to get. It's just a matter of affording one of those. But it can actually, the turnaround time is amazingly quick, especially for prototypes and businesses all over.
So what's next for 3C innovators?
For 3C, we want to start getting into high schools as soon as possible, and that way we can try and bridge that gap between project-based and just getting into developing students to design and think differently, not just go, oh, I have to go to math class or English or learn this formula and memorize. We want them to do something.
And so what's it like for you to see someone's idea come to life? Like working with people, what's your favorite part of that?
It's actually my favorite thing, especially when we're actually going through classes right now with students and watching really early on how they struggle at first to really figure out how to think differently on a project. You know, how do I create something? How do I differentiate what's existing? How do I change? And at the end, you see that when they either give their presentation or they show their product. It's like, we put this time into it. This is what's different. Here's how it's from what exists already. And that's one of the greatest joys.
And what has been your favorite idea that you've worked with?
Oh, man. Probably my favorite idea so far is actually one that we just got done with in a class. It's called the Titanic, and it's a grocery bag holder. It's an ice scraper, and it has like a flashlight in it. So it's a matter of what you can think around it.
All right. Well, it sounds like very cool. Thanks for joining us today, John.
Well, thank you very much for letting me here.
A night at the movies is one of America's favorite pastimes. Coming up, a Minnesota family has a unique way to keep the popcorn flowing and the film clips rolling.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
Dakota is facing challenges in healthcare delivery. The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is building a place to help meet the state's healthcare needs. In addition to a new structure, we're also building interaction between healthcare professionals while building a workforce through expanding class sizes. We're inspiring our youth to engage in healthcare careers and exploring ways to reduce disease. It starts here and ends here, building a better future for North Dakota.
Really admire the faculty. They're the ones that kind of helped push me through this.
Courses are hands-on and interactive. The communication program has so many different facets to it. One of the great things about the staff in the communication department is that they love what they do. They encourage you to really critically think and analyze everything you're learning. They're so into it, and it makes you want to be into it.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
Actor Matt Damon's latest role has him leaving Earth for the film The Martian. The Martian is the story of an astronaut who went to Mars and must find a way to survive after being left behind. His challenges include the need for food, how to contact Earth, and his ever-growing isolation. One of the most difficult challenges is not losing faith. His team is devastated, but hope returns when they make contact. The race to save the first Martian is on.
I do love that it celebrates intelligence, you know, and that spirit of courage.
The storm sequence, which kicks off the events surrounding the experience, took over 3 days to shoot. To make it feel real to both the cast and audience, the scene involved giant fans, thick dust, and lots of dirt. The Martian is released October 2nd with a PG-13 rating. Many readers are setting the tablet down and picking up a hardcover. The Association of American Publishers says the sales of ebooks have dropped nearly 10% since the beginning of 2015. Publishing experts believe that one of the biggest reasons for the decline is the fact that ebook prices are rising. We wanted your thoughts on the best way to access books.
I like to buy books basically at nonprofit thrift stores and sometimes at garage sales.
I would say go to a bookstore. I like that the best. I think it's easier that way, but just get them right there. And
I generally buy my books from online, as you can generally find them for cheaper prices.
I like to buy my books off Amazon. They're a lot cheaper because you can rent them on there.
I like to go to the library just because there's a variety of books there that I can choose from.
So I usually buy my books half and half. It depends. I like to get them online, but there's a lot of local businesses in this area that I like to shop at to find some books too.
I'd probably buy it online because it's more convenient. Otherwise, I'd like to go, I guess to a library is kind of cool because it's kind of like old school.
A comment on Facebook from Christina in Fargo, North Dakota. Bookstores or used bookstores? I like a physical copy. I don't have to scroll down or just turn a page. It seems to hurt my eyes less than staring at a screen. Waleed in Minneapolis, Minnesota says Amazon, reason being that it's incredibly cheap and usually has free shipping.
In a world where everything is changing, many businesses fail because they can't keep up with current trends. A small-town business is looking to the sky as they bring their old-fashioned idea back to the future.
As you drive out of Warren, Minnesota, something may seem out of place. It may look like a lonely ticket booth when you drive by, but the action really gets started when you drive in.
It's such a great experience for the new people that have come out because they don't see it. It's like when I come to I don't eat no popcorn when I come here, but I go to another theater and I gotta have popcorn.
The Skyview Drive-In movie theater is only one of 4 left in the entire state and is a sweet secret that many people don't know about.
I'd say 90% of the people that have been out here just said they've never been here. They didn't know about the place.
Leonard Novak bought the drive-in back in 1973.
It was a theater, and that's it. You know, it was with projectors, and you just bought it.
And it quickly turned into a family business.
My dad has a tough time of changing, and I'm the new generation.
Skyview butters you up with its experience. You can go to Showtime as a family, cuddle up alongside your love bug, or even sit next to a movie legend.
It's about memories. It's about families that have been here 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They bring back their kids and show what they used to do back in the old days and be able to sign the wall at the Skyview Drive-In Theater.
42 years later, and this blast from the past experience is not quite ready to roll its own credits.
You see these people sitting here, it's just fun. It's just fun to see that.
Reporting for Studio One, I'm Brady Kappas.
The Novak family says the theater saw its biggest crowd with the movie Twister. For those unfamiliar with the film, the movie features a scene in which a deadly tornado tears through a movie theater.
You know, Kari, that seems like the perfect way to spend a Friday night. Definitely. When I was a kid, me and my cousins loved going to the drive-in theater. And especially the scary movies, we can just cuddle up and watch and enjoy it.
Definitely, a lot of fun.
Thanks, Kari. Now, Emily joins us in the studio with a final look at the weather. Emily?
Thanks, Morgan. As we take a look at our weather or temperatures for the next week, we're going to be above average for the next week in most of the country. For precipitation-wise, we're going to have precipitation or rain throughout most of the country as well. And that brings us back to our weather question of the week. What year holds the record for the strongest El Nino event? That was actually 1997. And in the Red River Valley region, we saw quite a bit of some historic flooding. And Morgan, that's the reason why we have our dike system today, and it actually kind of devastated quite a lot of homes.
The El Nino is good news for us. That means warmer weather.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks, Emily. And that's our show for today. As always, you can follow us on social media or get more information on our website.
From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.